to the Cuddy and Govy show. We're down here, Chamber of Commerce weather, Boca Raton. Christmas is over, Govy. New Year's is over. Now, start of 2025. It's January, what is it, 9th today, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. This morning, on my way to the gym, it was 49 degrees. Getting cold. We're coming up for the cold weather, but we're doing better than the people in California. They're dealing with these fires. These fires are just unbelievable. These multi-million-dollar homes, and it's kind of crazy that you can burn down all these homes and they make it a political story. I mean, why does everything have to be so political? Why can't it be just fires? It's all politics. When I turn on CNN or I turn on Fox, they all talk politics. Govy has some strong opinions about this because there's no water at the fire hydrants and there's no water and it's Gavin Newsom's fault. Meantime, pets are dying, people are dying, and houses are burning to the ground. The thing I don't understand, Govy, like they're saying a lot of people don't have insurance. So the only way you can have insurance is if you don't have a mortgage. And if you don't have a mortgage, you can not, if you have a mortgage, you have to get insurance to protect the interest of the mortgage company. It's just basic business. So all these people that claim they don't have insurance, I mean, all these homes are mortgage free. You have a $25 million house. You have no insurance. It just burnt to the ground, and you lost $25 million. Is that what you're telling me?
I think it's going to be more like you had insurance, and then they threw you out. So you still have your mortgage. So what's going to happen? The bank's going to tell you you're in default, then you don't pay. So they're in a rock and a hard place, the banks.
I see.
In order to get the mortgage to close on the house, you needed the insurance.
Right.
But once the insurance is taken away,
Right.
what's the bank going to go after you? They got to get whoever else takes over is going to have that same problem.
But Trump is just beating the stick that Gavin Newsom, that's what he calls him,
Yeah.
Newsom, right? Gavin Newsom caused this problem because he was trying to save some kind of fish.
Right.
And because there was some fish he was saving, they couldn't get water. It's all going into the Pacific Ocean. And they're having the best year ever in terms of rainfall in Florida. I mean, in California, we're in Florida. And we just have hurricanes down here. We don't have fires. And it's a mess.
Well, first of all, I want to just say that today, January 9th, would have been my dad's 89th birthday.
Oh, jeez.
And it's okay. But my brother and myself, 6 o'clock this morning, I text him as he's calling me, and we're like, do you know what today is? And we both know. And we're thinking, we're the only two people on Earth right now that kind of really know who it is. And we're talking about just history, that our kids and our grandkids really don't know, is today. They're not, they know my birthday, but they don't know maybe their grandfather's birthday. And we're just saying how.
Well, happy birthday.
Yeah, well, it's just kind of crazy. But as far as going back to the fires and everything, the crazy thing that Donald Trump has, which, to give him bullets in his chamber is always, that's the last thing you need, to give Donald Trump ammunition. And here it is in 2018, the guy's on tape, basically telling everybody that that California isn't ready for a big fire. That they need rainwater, and that they actually there was a drought at that time. But he was telling them everything they need to do. Then in 2024, before the election in September, he's out there again telling Gavin Newsom what he needs to do, that California is not prepared, that the reservoirs are empty, that he's telling them that there's going to be a disaster. It's not a matter of time, it's when.
Govy, let me ask you a question.
He's on record.
So I've been to California, I don't know how many times in my life. A lot. Why do people live there? It has great weather, but you have the highest taxes in America. You have all these fires and all these problems.
Didn't know.
You have all this woke bullshit where, there's immigrants everywhere and all the crap going on. I mean, it's like crazy. Why do you want to live in California? You have so many problems out there.
Not the people that were living in Pacific Palisade.
Well,
They thought they thought they were immune, that they were telling you that it doesn't happen to them. What happened is, elections have consequences. So they had a choice between, and by the way, two Democrats, it was between Karen Bass and Caruso. A lot of people wanted the Democrat Caruso. He was a developer, a builder. He knows, what he's doing, how to run a company. Karen Bass didn't. He ended up losing the election. Wasn't even that close. And now they all want Caruso. But it's too late because their person was that they chose was, by the way, she defunded the fire department. Not only that, she went on record when Ted Cruz went and left Texas during a cold streak, he went to Cancun. And he's only a senator at the time. And she said, how can they elect a person that walks out on his state during an impending? Meanwhile, here it was. They had warning that the Santa Ana winds are coming. And she called for a state of emergency. And then she gets on a plane and goes to Africa.
Well,
why? Why is it good for the goose? Isn't good for the gander? It's hypocrisy at its finest.
Right, but I'm going to take the other side. We don't need to get too heavy into politics. There's no reason. These people lost their houses, and the question really is the global. All these people, Sharon Stone, all these movie stars that were like giant left people. I mean, now that it hit, everybody can be really crazy left until it hits at their front doorstep.
Always.
I saw Sharon Stone like literally crying, weeping and wailing, her house is gone, blah, blah, blah. And she was the first one jumping up and down. So does everybody have to face personal tragedy before they they get a sense of reality? I mean, I understand the left, but isn't it a little ridiculous that for a little fish or whatever they're trying to save, that they had some $5 or $10 billion budget to fix this water?
It goes deeper than that. It goes deeper than.
I mean, let's look at a global view, not like a.
No, I'm going to give you where it goes deeper, and it's their thinking, where it's common sense, and where Donald Trump won, and where people like Bill Maher even, they started to realize that I'm a Republican that leans left. There's a lot of people that are Democrats that lean right. Bill Maher said that the party had left him, that they went too far crazy. I'll give you a perfect example. Right now, all you hear is everybody on these press conferences. If there's any looting at all, they're going to throw the book at these people because they don't want anybody going into their house, stealing their possessions. That's just like the lowest thing you could do. Yet, if you worked your whole life and you then opened up your own store, and all of a sudden you had people that came in your store and looted your store, that's okay. That's okay to let that criminal out. Or it's okay that he can come in and rob your store for under $1,000. He gets a ticket. But why? What's the difference of looting a house and stealing from someone's store?
Yeah, but I guess that's not my question. I get your point. My question is, now that all these so-called liberals, it's landed at their doorstep, does anybody change their mind, or do they go back to the way they were, thinking that America should be the way they envision it in their mind, where immigrants are allowed to walk the street and hotels are allowed to, there's no hotels.
No,
for
here's what they needed. Here's what they
at.
needed to get slapped in the face. They needed to find out that they were paying the highest taxes out of anybody in the country. And they found out that when the fire trucks came and there was no water in the fire hydrants, they couldn't believe it. Then, when all these people are now 30,000 plus are homeless, and it takes, by the way, to rebuild your house in California, they're saying they're going to now come into the red tape. See, they don't have to deal with the red tape. Now they're going to deal with the red tape, and they're going to find out that it takes 3 years to 4 years to rebuild your house.
Will they rebuild? I mean, if it was your house burnt down,
but they might. But they have the land, so that's part of the thing. So they have to. They'll try to rebuild it. It could be 4 years from now. The question is, they need to now live somewhere. And isn't it kind of crazy that they told these people that they opened up the convention center so they have a place to stay for the next couple weeks? Isn't it funny that the illegal immigrants are in the hotels and the people in their houses or in a convention center. Like, isn't that backwards? So I think Hollywood is starting to say, wait a second. Why aren't the illegal immigrants in the convention center, and why isn't there hotels for us?
So
it's common sense.
Yeah, my question to you again is, okay, so the people that it landed on their front doorstep, now their mindset may be changed. Sharon Stone may be more forgiving of the world. But now the rest of the people that are way, way left, I mean, does this hit them home, seeing the fires and seeing people displaced and their lives ruined and their high school yearbook? You know, I'll give you a funny story. I'm watching these fires, not to make it light of the fires. I mean, I had this gigantic house up north that I raised my kids in that it took me 6 years to sell. And if a fire caught on that thing, I would start blowing on the flames. I would be like, please make it go away. I mean, how many people are like watching the flames go? Or I watched this YouTube video, reel, where this guy, you know, he was like behind on his lease payment on his car. He said, I think I'm going to take my car down to Pacific Palisades and see if it burns up.
Right, you can make it disappear. But, you know, I think Hollywood and a lot of these people, I think they didn't realize where they got, they were in shock that they didn't realize with all the taxes and everything they had, how ill-prepared they were, that there were no cops down below. So when they had to evacuate, you know, there was no one directing them. They left their cars there. By the way, there's no electricity right now. So isn't it kind of ironic that they're not...
You're happy, Govy.
Well, no, they're not attached...
You're happy.
They're not attached to the real world out there. So in order to get attached to the world, who did they have to call on? Elon Musk. Elon had to bring his Starlink in there so they could have satellite and phone service. But all their electrical grids are down. So they did need gasoline for a lot of the stuff. They found out how the people that they elected are horrible. And you know what really made them feel good? When they lost everything and they're decimated, that they got to see Joe Biden take Air Force One to California.
200,000 an hour.
Right, and as he's sitting
back
there and they're giving him a brief on what's going on, he had this deer in the headlight look. He didn't know what was going on. All he knew is he had one thing to say. And he turns around and says, well, I have good news today. I'm a great-grandfather. Do you know how many people wanted to say, shut the F up, who gives a crap that you're a great-grandfather? You're an idiot. You came all the way up. The people of Palestine, Ohio, the people in Maui, Hawaii, that the fires came. You know what Joe Biden could have done? Why didn't he stand there and give each person that lost their house $750 like he did the people of Carolina? He said, here you go. Here's $750. That will get you through this. It's a joke. They would have laughed. But when you
there's
see
10 days left. It doesn't matter. So while we're talking about California, let's talk about Nikki Glaser. She killed it. She was great on the Golden Globes. It was Golden Globes, right?
Yeah, I think she's okay.
You didn't think she was amazing?
Yeah,
her timing, her comical timing, the way she tells jokes is amazing.
But her real talent comes out
in her legs.
Oh no, on a cable or a Netflix or a streaming service where she could really be herself. She's not herself when she has to hold back some of her real good jokes. It's like watching a movie.
Dirty jokes?
Well, there's punchlines. It's like watching a movie on ABC or watching a movie on Netflix.
Well, she's almost like a modern-day Don Rickles. I mean, you know, it's like shock, insult comedy, you know, where she insults
a little
people.
bit like Don Rickles. I agree with you.
Yeah, but Don Rickles was great, and his timing was great. But I thought they said Nikki Glaser crushed it. You know, that's a very, very difficult show to be the MC of. You could do it, Govy, I'm sure. But
I think Ricky Gervais was the best.
Ricky Gervais was
he ripped on Hollywood. That's what you kind of needed, you know.
But it was kind of cool that she kept the politics really light, you know, and you know, made some soft around the corner jokes on politics.
Think about this though. If the Golden Globes was 10 days later, there wouldn't be any jokes and there wouldn't be any Golden Globes.
Why? All those people lost their
house. You really think they would be laughing right now? I mean, it wouldn't be... it's Hollywood isn't really... they're like in mourning right now. So I don't think That would be it. And I just think, from my standpoint, listening to Nikki Glazer, yeah, she can go either way. But I like Stephen A. Smith, guy that comes out there. He's now sitting there, and he's got on his podcast yesterday, and he said, I'm getting tired of listening to like the Sean Hannitys of the world, the Megyn Kellys of the world. Every conspiracy they come up with turns out to be that they were right. So, Nikki Glazer is, she gave some good jokes, but.
Well, I mean, she made it very light. It's a very difficult. I mean, I can't watch those shows. I like to watch the clips because, it's the same speeches, all the same crap. But, I thought she did a decent job. Look, she's an overnight sensation that's been working at it for 20 years. I mean, all of a sudden, she's the hottest thing ever.
I've been following her for years on Netflix.
But she was only like a roast master with.
She was a roast master.
Yeah, with Jeff. What's the guy?
Jeff Ross.
Jeff Ross.
He's a roast master.
Yeah. Martha Stewart, Snoop Dogg, and all those roasts. But now she's an overnight sensation, although she's been doing it 20 years. But then going back to Joe Biden. It's funny. In the last
great-grandfather, Joe Biden.
Yeah, but in the last 15 days or 20 days of his presidency, we talk about it. He's doing all these crazy things. He's like a Medal of Honor to George Soros, who essentially is like burned down America by himself.
These blue cities.
Yeah, like the college campuses. And I said to Govy, Hunter Biden, he's pardoned for the last 10 years or whatever the deal is, and he's sitting at the cash register. Oh, George, you want the Medal of Freedom honor or whatever it is? That's $100 million. Cha-ching. The Hillary Clinton, you want the Medal of Freedom? Cha-ching. Liz Cheney, that's $30 million. Cha-ching. Dick Cheney's got like a $300 million.
But you came up with one of the a situation that I didn't think of. We were thinking of who is Joe Biden going to pardon at the end. And we all said that it's going to be his brother James and his sister. And we're like, well, how come he hasn't pardoned them yet? And that's because
he's not that dumb.
He isn't that dumb. The reason why James Biden hasn't been pardoned, or his sister, is they have one more act that they have to do. And that act is going to be the last of the money that's going to be coming in, that they can then, we're talking millions of dollars.
Hundreds of millions.
Right.
Like they just did the GITMO, the 15 people at GITMO, they just let go of this unbelievable, horrible terrorist killer.
And we're going to let them go to Qatar. And
somebody wired $100 million into, Jim Biden's check account.
Right. Somebody wired money that he ended up doing that and some of the other stuff. So now, why not just pardon him on the last hour? Again, of just like Hunter Biden, of everything that he did from this point
100%.
on. That way James Biden's done, and all the money then goes to, there's still money.
They whack it up.
Right. I mean, this GITMO thing, there was money made in GITMO.
Well, think about this Elon Musk, who was head of Doge, the Department of Efficiency or whatever he's calling it. Joe Biden, again, my party, just flew Air Force One that cost $200,000 an hour to California to see the birth of his great-grandson and flew back. So if it's 12 hours, that costs, with everything, probably $5 million for him to do that. There's got to be a law in the books that the president can't waste money. Nancy Pelosi can't fly in an Air Force jet to California every weekend. Kamala Harris can't do that every weekend. Donald Trump shouldn't be allowed, or they have to have some sort of reimbursement policy.
Let me ask you, when he was on Air Force One, do you think he knew that there were fires going on there? Because he was only going out there to see his great-grandson. This is just bad timing for him, because I don't think he knew. He wasn't prepared. And that's where PR people have to come into play. Like this Karen Bass that was in Ghana, in Africa, she had, a 10-hour flight coming back?
Yeah, but they just don't care.
But can't someone tell her, people are going to ask you these questions as soon as you land? They might say, do you think it was okay for you to go out? And she was ill-prepared. Did you see that she just stood there and the person asked her 2 minutes worth of questions? She didn't answer.
Well, look at all these...
That's horrible.
Yeah, but look at all these companies now, Govy, that have learned their lesson. Their stock prices are plummeting because they had all these DEI hires that didn't work out. And they thought it was the greatest thing to go DEI, Department of Equity and Inclusion. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
and we're going to go woke, DEI, and all this bullshit. And now these companies are changing their tune and getting away from DEI. I mean, it's really a shame. It's like I said a million times, if the pilot gets on the plane and they always have these great airplane radio voices, this is your Captain Harvey speaking. I just want you to know I'm a DEI hire. I came at the bottom of my flight class, but don't worry, folks.
You would get off the plane. And it's like funny, it's funny. Trump today or yesterday, he met with the president of Walmart. And they were talking about DEI, that's going to go away for Walmart. Like, why did it take them to realize that that's not where, it's better for the country? So they're all getting in line. It's like Tim Cook got in line. You got Zuckerberg got in line. Jeff Bezos,
Yeah, now it's crazy. Amazon is making a $40 million puff piece documentary.
No, much more than that. Melania gets $40 million.
Melania gets $40 million for this movie. Jeff Bezos is now making, they all
Part one.
They all laughed at Elon Musk when he wanted to build battery cars, when he did Solar City, when he did SpaceX, when he did the Interlink, or what's it called? The Starlink. Everybody laughed at this guy. Then they laughed when he wrote a check for $250 million to back Donald Trump. Now, all of a sudden, Jeff Bezos wants to give Melania Trump $40 million to do a puff piece documentary on what a great, first lady she was and she's willing to be. Then you got Mark Zuckerberg with all his new watches. Did you see his new watches?
Yeah.
He's buying watches for like $1 million. He got the bug over there in that Asian billionaire. What's that?
The Indian guy,
Amina Sani or whatever.
Put the bug in him. FP Journe, Forsyth, Moser, FP Journe, Patek Philippe.
He's buying all these crazy watches.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, now Mark Zuckerberg is coming out with his new hair transplants?
Yeah.
His great hair transplant. So I think he went to Elon Musk's hair transplant doctor. No. Do you see the earlier pictures of Elon Musk? He's bald. Now he's got more hair than you. Yeah. And Mark Zuckerberg had that comb to the front thing. Now he's got this big bushy hair. I mean, he went to the same hair transplant.
But don't forget, now that they're all on board, Bezos is friendly with Ivanka. She's going to have the Amazon Prime. She's going to sell her product on there. Everybody's getting along all of a sudden,
Well, how do you think she's friendly with,
They're next door neighbors.
Well, first of all, they live in Star Island. Do you think they really see their neighbor?
Well, Indian Creek, and they do, because it's Indian Creek.
But isn't there a hedge wall 40 feet high and Secret Service everywhere?
Because Indian Creek is not like that. You go over the bridge,
right,
and you can walk down the street and see all the houses. So
it's not all hidden in...
That's because Star Island people can go onto the island, and it's open. This is a gated... You can't even get onto the island. So once you're there, it has a golf course that you can play, and it's spectacular.
So Mark Zuckerberg is now sucking up to Trump, and he's saying he's going to do all this. But the greatest thing is Trump's best friend, or one of his top 3 friends, is Dana White from the UFC. And Mark Zuckerberg decides to put Dana White on his board. Are you kidding me? Dana White on the board of, Facebook or whatever, Meta or whatever it's called now. It's such a payoff. It's such a joke.
Well, Donald Trump took care of his friends. What was great is the other day he had his friend, what's his name, Steve Wilkoff, that he plays golf with and everything.
Yeah.
He's going to be part of the negotiations of the Middle East. I mean, here's a guy that stood up next to Donald Trump, and Trump's saying twice, if these hostages aren't released before or on the day I'm inaugurated, hell's going to...
What's he going to do?
Well, I'm going to tell you why Steve Wilkoff was up there.
Okay.
Because he's a great negotiator, and the deal's already done. They wouldn't have announced it. Trump wouldn't have said this twice unless he knows for sure that the hostages are going to be released. Now, I'll bet you right now, $1,000 that the hostages are released before his inauguration or the day after. It's a done deal, and he knows it. And he's going to look like $1 million by doing that. And by the way, just to show you when Joe Biden goes to sleep at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, this is a day in Donald Trump's life. He wakes up in the morning and he figures out, Okay, maybe I'll take over Greenland or negotiate.
How's he any different than Putin when he talks like he's taking over
Well,
Canada
no,
or he's
'cause
taking over
Putin
Greenland?
invaded. He's negotiating
It's
to
the same
buy.
thing. He's putting economic sanctions on them where they have no choice. He's saying you're making $200 billion a year, Canada, from us.
No, we're
And
talking
unless-
Greenland. We're talking Greenland.
Okay,
That's-
Greenland.
Okay, Canada he did that with, I agree. Panama, he also said that, you know what? China is like taking over the Panama Canal. He only wants what's fair to it. We built it. We lost, 8,300 lives building it. So he wants what's coming his way. So the guy tackled Panama, Greenland, Canada, the border, Hamas, Ukraine, and that was all by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, not to mention the fires that he has to blast all these guys that they mishandled.
Well, how about he blast Jimmy Carter? The guy's laying in a casket, and Trump can't leave him alone. He's got to go after the guy. I mean, the guy's sitting in the Capitol Rotunda. He's 100. He's dead.
He said he's
and
a nice
Trump
guy.
Can't leave him alone.
No, he said he's a nice guy. Like, you know what? He was the
but
worst
the
president
Panama,
ever.
yeah, worst president ever.
But he's a
Panama
nice
Canal,
guy.
Blah, blah,
Where Joe
blah.
Biden is now the worst president ever, but he's not a good guy. Joe Biden is a bad guy. And this guy is a nice. Jimmy Carter was a very good guy, good heart, and everything like that. So I think
You know, I'm reading, or I didn't read. I watched this documentary on presidential funerals. Some really random facts. Number one, the first day you're inaugurated, you sit with the funeral committee, and they design out your whole funeral, the colors, the processions, and everything that you're going to do. So if you get killed or die in office, your funeral. Jimmy Carter had to sign off on this and pre-plan it.
but he outlived everybody.
Right. So I guess you have to stick new people in the urology places. But then also this other remarkable fact, the hearse that they carry the casket in only carries a president and only gets used for a presidential funeral. And they buy a new one every 2 years so it doesn't break down during the president's. Can you imagine? But they only buy this hearse for a funeral. And it only carries a president. And it sits in a warehouse till a guy dies.
Let me ask you a question. Since he has to think of everything for his funeral, did he have to think about that in order for the pallbearers to carry the casket up the Capitol steps? And I heard the guy go, right step.
In the ice, in the snow.
Yeah, in the snow, in the ice, it was like 100 steps. They had to carry this casket. What happens if one person trips? What happens to the casket?
It's a Saturday Night Live
Could he slide out?
Yeah. The casket falls down boom, 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 down
Would
the
that be
steps,
fitting for
and his body comes flying out.
Would that be fitting if Jimmy Carter slid out the back? I mean, because you have to.
And he's not wearing shoes.
But you have to have people, strong people, to do that, don't you think? To lift
I don't
them up?
know. I don't know how much a casket weighs, but Jimmy Carter probably weighed 100 pounds.
Yeah,
What's a
but-
casket weigh? If there's 8 pallbearers and it's 300
It's
pounds.
100 steps in the cold. I mean,
know.
you know they were burning. Their arms were burning at the last
It's 40
couple steps.
pounds a guy. Yeah, no, somebody could trip and knock the other
Meanwhile-
guy and they could all
Meanwhile,
roll
so
down.
let me ask you. Today during the funeral, which was really kind of weird to see all our country leaders sitting together. Now,
And Michelle Obama.
Was
the
not there.
Racist Michelle Obama.
Michael, you mean?
Michael Obama decides not to show for a presidential funeral, Michelle. She wanted to extend her vacation in her $40 million
Well, they put him on ice for
Hawaii-
2 weeks, as it was.
Hawaiian estate, but her whole mantra is the people. I'm doing it for the people. I am one of the people. She couldn't show because she couldn't look Donald Trump and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the eyes.
But meanwhile,
Chicken.
Barack Obama seemed like he was laughing, having a good time with Donald Trump. What do you think they were talking about?
Well, Don was saying to Barak, I figure Joe's got $500 million stashed away in the last 2 weeks, these pardons that he's given away. How much of that $500 million you getting, Barak?
Or he said to Barack, listen,
You're getting a pardon too, Barak.
I think he said to Barack, what's this crap that everybody's getting these medals? You gave Joe Biden the medal. How come he didn't give you a medal? Everybody got a medal. Soros got a medal. Cheney got a medal. Hillary Clinton got a medal. You have no medal. Did he also say, do you think he's giving you? I think Trump said to him, I'll tell you what, if he doesn't pardon you, I will.
I mean, they were laughing it up, and they were talking about golf or money or something, or girls, you know.
They were, they.
But you know what was really classy? I thought Melania Trump, who I've been critical of, Melania, I'm sorry, I apologize. She sat there, her hands were folded, she had a stern look on her face, and she took it like a man or took it like a woman and did the funeral like you're supposed to do, knowing Joe Biden tried to kill and lock up her husband.
Well, she did make $40 million on a fluff piece by Jeff Bezos, and I think she's going to be about making money for Melania this time around. She has wind at her back. She is going to be a Donald.
So you think she made a deal with the Donald? Look, Donald, I'll be by your side for this election. I won't, leave you or embarrass you. But I want a cha-ching, cha-ching. I want cash flow, baby.
I'll tell you what.
I want cash flow.
I'll make another bet for you.
A lot of bets.
I say before July, she's on the cover of Vogue magazine.
Because like Jeff Bezos, now Zuckerberg, Bezos, Musk, somebody's buying the magazine. It's not a lot of money.
Right.
It's like 20, 30 million to these guys.
Yeah, I mean, so I think
somebody's going to buy that.
And I think that she has to put her on it just for survival.
And Ivanka is going to take over, the editor. I think Ivanka runs Vogue magazine and Melania's on the cover. Anna Wintour, you're out.
Right.
Ivanka's going to run it. Melania's going to be on the cover.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be interesting to see how what happens to the rest.
But isn't it kind of crazy that like all these guys were screaming they're leaving the country, blah blah blah, and now all of a sudden they're doing these crazy things to pay off Donald Trump? I mean, they know the guy is like whatever he is.
Well, the people in Pacific Palisades, it's easy for them to leave. They have nothing to sell. They can just take some money. Their houses are, you don't have to worry about selling their house. They can go to Portugal right now.
But what's the value of a lot? I'm thinking about maybe doing
over the ocean.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm thinking about doing a business show, and if I were, let's practice, Govy. You'd be my first client or my first whatever interview. Like, you have a lot that a house just burnt down on from these horrific winds in Pacific Palisades. Didn't the value of a $20 million lot just go down to $5 million because of what happened? I mean, is that a sellable lot? I mean, does somebody want to buy that lot? Isn't it tarnished forever?
I think with technology today, I think that people will come up with a new house that will almost be fireproof that they can come up with. How much more money is it to completely fireproof your house?
Well, Kanye West had one in Malibu. It was all concrete. He took all the wood out, shelled it out, and it's just a concrete thing. I don't even know how you do that.
Well, I got to tell you, you have, you're looking at, you got other, for your thing, you got to talk to, there's other politicians out there that are going to start making policy changes. Governor DeSantis, for instance. How great of a governor is Governor DeSantis for Florida? He changed some of the regulations for hurricane-proofing houses and stuff.
Yeah.
But did you see how great he is during hurricanes? And look at the difference between Florida in a hurricane with a leader that's on the ground, and look at California. That's what you get. By the way, John Fetterman, he could be the best.
He's going to run for president.
I mean, who would think that what's so great about him? Common sense.
So when he's president of the United States, can he wear a hoodie and wear sweat?
Yeah,
sweat?
He can wear that. And you want to know something else?
He doesn't have to wear a suit and tie?
You know who's learning?
Vlad doesn't wear
well, you know who's learning? Governor Shapiro, Pennsylvania. He sat there and said, you know what? I'm not going to be Newsom. I'm not going to be Pritzker of Illinois. I know that I got to be right of what these wackos are. And Governor Shapiro just went up because Newsom's out right now. So Shapiro is the leading guy for president of the United States right now.
But I'll tell you, as a money-making scam, let's say you're in Donald Trump's inner circle. I'm in his outer circle, which means I'm 6 bands away from him. But let's say he said, look, I'm going to pass some executive order that in California, the governor has to, or across the country, has to have fire retardant, blah, blah, blah. But before he does that, you go out and buy all this Pacific Palisades lots for pennies on the dollar because nobody wants them anymore.
But didn't Oprah try to buy the Maui properties from people? Like,
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because you could go around right now and someone could start buying
Pennies
up
on the dollar, yeah. And then if you know Donald Trump's going to make all the states do something
Or-
in order to give them insurance, it's going to have to be like in Florida when I lived on the ocean, my house here, my insurance was from the federal government.
Right.
That's the only way I could get, flood insurance.
But Joe Biden, if he was still president for more, he would make it where if you had to, there would be a company that sells a special product to make it fire resistant. That would be one of his donors, guaranteed.
Yeah.
There would have been a donor that's going to make money on.
I think what it has to be, it's not so much the house, Govy. I think all the surrounding landscaping, that has to be fire
brush,
retardant.
right.
Yeah, the brush or whatever it is, and the irrigation or whatever. So
Sprinkler systems,
Yeah.
Something that comes up. But anyway, I got to give you some of my picks because it is.
All right, we're coming down to the playoffs, folks.
Yeah, living down here. By the way, there is a big game in Florida, in Miami tonight. It's the first game of the college semifinals. You got Penn State versus Notre Dame. And what's funny is in Philadelphia, they took a poll. A lot of people are cheering for Notre Dame rather than Penn State just because of the Irish. So the game, by the way, is I believe is Notre Dame is favored by 1 point over Penn State. Very tough game to bet, but I'm going to go with Penn State tonight.
I'm going to go with Penn State.
I'm going with Penn State +1 tonight. Now, tomorrow is Texas +6 over Ohio State.
Going with Ohio State.
I'm going with Texas +6 points. I think Ohio State played well. I think you might get the team that showed up against Michigan might be the team that comes against Texas, and I think Texas wins. But they're very tough games. Going to the NFL, they're also very tough games with these point spreads. So I like the Chargers -3 over the Texans. I think that's the easiest game on the board. Chargers -3 over the Texans. The Ravens, I like -9.5 over Pitt. It's a lot of points. I just think it could end up being one of those games that it's like a 30-10 game. Then I like the Eagles -4.5 over Green Bay. It's going to be cold. It's going to be 0 degrees, but I think the Eagles are going to win that game.
Wouldn't that be a shame? That what are they 14-3? And if they lose that game, that would suck.
Well, it will suck for everybody, but it's better than Dallas.
Is
Dallas
Jalen
isn't
Hurts
in it.
going to play?
Jalen Hurts is playing.
Okay.
I like Tampa Bay -3 over Washington. Tampa's playing good ball right now. And then I like Denver +8.5 over Buffalo. I truly think it's going to.
Buffalo.
I think Buffalo is going to be in the Super Bowl against the Eagles. I do, but I think 8.5 points. I think Denver covers the spread. So that's who I kind of like for.
Buffalo's one of my teams going in there. Buffalo's been at the dance a couple times in the last bunch of years, or in the playoffs.
Hey, I'm a fan of Buffalo. I got to give a shout out to tennis players that represent the D. Bethune watch line. Tommy Paul won last night. Jess Pagula won last night. Emma Navarro, we got to get back. She lost a little. I think she's still a little tired from last year doing so well. But Emma Navarro, her parents own the Buffalo Bills, and she's in Australia right now. So shout out to that. And Tommy Paul is an Eagles fan. He's from outside of Philadelphia, so he's sporting the Green Eagles.
So Govy this year was very, very hot on his football picks. You need to subscribe. You need to hit the subscribe button and listen to Govy's picks, because we're going down to the playoffs. We're in the playoffs. We're in the Super Bowl. He's the man. I don't know.
I told you New York Knicks are a better team than the 76ers. People didn't believe me.
Well,
76ers are
so
unwatchable. They're unwatchable.
They're unwatchable, but Joel Embiid, you're paying him $70 million to play 40 games. I mean, what kind of deal is that?
All I know is I would like to cheer for a team that works really hard. New York Knicks, they hustle. You got Leon Rose, you got Wes Wesley. They built an unbelievable team that fans have to just love. I only wish they were in Philadelphia.
So there's two things our audience has to do. Buy my book
Right.
Left foot, right foot, survival guide for business and life. We're still selling. It's slowing down though, folks. The sales are slowing down. We need everybody to start buying it again. Oh, thank you. Here it is. Left foot, right foot, survival guide, motivational book. I'm trying to motivate you guys. Buy it. We need you to buy it. And the second thing we need you to do is subscribe. We are picking up subscribers every week, Govy, and now we're here at the gorgeous new podcast studio of Stella Mix, and look at this background that we have. And we're going to have a background every week that's so gorgeous, like where we are today in front of a golf course.
Yeah, and you know what? And
how gorgeous is that?
And my sister-in-law make another appearance at the end of the month.
Love to have her.
Because it's really cold up in Philadelphia.
Well, I have a question for her. I see that Kmart or Walmart, someone is now selling these Birkin bags.
They're
that?
Walmart. They're the copies. They're like a knockoff.
I know, but it looks so good. Why go pay all the money for a real one when you can go to Walmart and buy a fake one? And like if you get out of a fancy car and you got your fake Rolex on and you have your fake jewelry on, why not have your fake Birkin bag on?
Do you know for what it costs to make the real one isn't much different than what the Hermes, than what the Walmart
really
one is.
They make it so cheap?
Yeah, I think they came out that it only costs like maybe $75 to make some of these bags, $100.
So I'm watching this Instagram thing in Istanbul. There's a shop in Istanbul that makes knockoffs of these alligator and crocodile Birkin bags, and he's selling them for like $5,000 a piece, and they're like $50,000 or something, or $100,000. I mean, it's worth a trip to go to Istanbul and buy 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, you know, I can't see buying something that that isn't real. Like, but for instance, if you ever went with a Gem Lab diamond, I'm for that. Not an engagement ring, but there's certain things like if you said diamond studs, a diamond necklace.
So if I wanted to get 8-carat diamond studs,
well, that's too big. 8 each or 4 each?
4 each.
Okay.
How much would it cost me for the lab diamonds for like really spectacular?
It's still going to run you. It's still going to run you into the thousands, but it's not going to run you
80 grand.
It's not going to run you 100,000
right.
or 80,000. And it's a look that you want. And by the way, if you throw it on a scale, it has all the specific. You know, it has the same specific gravity of a diamond. Has all the.
So if Lauren Bezos is wearing lab-grown diamonds, who's going to question her? Who's going to say, "Hey, those are fake"?
It's not fake.
Come on,
it's not. It's not fake. It's a real diamond. That's the difference. It is a real diamond. It's just not. It was just made in a lab. Where the Walmart bag is a knockoff, is a fake.
But how do they get away with it? Are they allowed to knock it off that way?
You know, I'm not really sure, but. You know, it's
Walmart says, sue me. I don't care. I got a lot of lawyers. Wear you down.
By the way, by the time it tells them to stop, it'll be done.
Yeah, it'll be done. Anyway, Govy, what a great show. We tore right through it at our new location here at Stella Mix.
You say that every week.
What?
Our new location.
I know. So we've done 80. This is our 80th episode, I believe, and we've been at 79 locations.
Yeah, what location? What location do you want to see us next? We might be able
next week in Las Vegas, baby. Next week in Vegas with Big Eye.
Yeah,
Big Eye lost his bet in Vegas. We heard.
Yeah, he lost his.
He bet all Govy's money on black on the roulette wheel. He won. And then he called Govy and said, "Can I double down?" And of course, he lost.
Exactly.
All right, folks.
All right, we'll see you.
Great show. Have fun.
Bye.
Take care.
'Cause I'm only